everybody, and welcome back to another lesson by NovaPans Handpans. This is as many lessons as we could think up of today, but we'll definitely come back with plenty more. So in this lesson today we're going to learn dotted rhythms. Okay, so you've covered everything from quarter beat notes, half beat notes, you've done triplets, you've done 1 beat notes, 2 beat notes and 4 beat notes. And now we're going to teach you how to dot rhythms and also how to join them, okay? In other words, tie rhythms, that's what we call them in classical music. So let's just start with a basic example. 5 lines. I made that interesting and drew a line above the line I'd already drawn just then. So these do get more interesting. So let's draw, that's a new looking clef. 4/4, okay? Now, how should we do this? So, I almost drew the ding there. Remember, we're drawing the dings, the 1 note's down here now. So ding, ding. And notice what I'm going to do here is add a dot to that note on the second beat. And then what I'm going to do is add a quaver, dum, dum, dum. And then I'm going to add the final beat of the whole bar. I'm going to add our repeat marks. Okay. Now what is going on? This dot, you know what these are. That's a crotchet. That's a crotchet. This is a quaver, but it's a lonely quaver. It's on its own. You've seen quavers, which are, by the way, half beat notes. You've seen them attached together like this with a brother or a sister. Those are counted as, okay? But if you've got one on its own, it's going to look like this. It looks like a crotchet which is a 1 beat note with a little flick. And that little flick makes it a quaver. So you should understand that. You've actually seen that before. It's just on its own. This is what's new. This thing here, okay? This might take some working out, but the dot, which you see next to the big note, the big black note, of course, this dot means add half of what the note is by itself onto it. Okay, so you cover the dot. You see the note is a crotchet, which is a 1 beat long note, and then someone's put a dot on. So now it's asking you to add half of that crotchet onto the crotchet. So it turns a 1 beat note into a 1.5 beat note. Okay? Now, a 1.5 beat note, if I draw the timeline of a bar, you start at beat 1, okay? You've got beat 2, you've got beat 3, you've got beat 4, and then by the time you're here, you go back to 1 again. So if I draw beat 1, 2, 3, 4, we'll keep these the same distance just for the sake of keeping this simple, and then you go back to 1, which we know is back at the beginning, okay? So let me just, you know what? Let me just draw 1. There you go. So back to the beginning. So that's the timeline of a bar. When you count a bar, when I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what you're doing. Now with a dotted note, with a crotchet note, which is just this, you only go between 1 to 2, and then you play the next note. However, with a dotted note, which is this, you not only go up to 2, you go up an extra half. So what you're going to find that you count is a 1, 2, and then half a beat before you then play the next one. Okay, is that clear? So with a crotchet, a 1 beat note, you only play it for 1 click, 1, and then the next note on the second click. But with a dotted crotchet, because that's what it's called, a dotted crotchet, or a 1.5 beat note, you will play it for the 1, 2, and it's on the and that you play the next note on. Okay? So in this case, you've got a dotted crotchet on beat 2 of the bar, which means one's already been taken, right? But now you've got a dotted crochet on beat 2 of the bar. So you're going to play beat 2. You're also going to play it over beat 3 because remember it's 1.5. So what you're going to hear is 2 clicks, click, click, and then on this and, which is here, right? You're going to play that quaver, and then on 4 you're going to land on that note. So the way you play that is the tempo is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. I just clicked and, which I shouldn't have done. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's difficult to do. Those last 2 I actually messed up, but the first 2, I hope you got them. The rhythm is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Right, left, right and left. I'm just going to try to play the rhythm on its own. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 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 Make sure you hear that 3 before you play the quaver, because the quaver is on the and, okay? It's 1, 2, 3 and 4. Always count the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and your quaver there is on the 3 and, because the dotted crochet plays for the count of 2 clicks, 2 beats, okay? So see if you can decipher what I just did there. Break it down, try to learn it. All I've done is I've replaced some of these notes with some of the other notes which you know. Most of the time I've kept the ding on beat 1, and then most of the time I've put my second note as the dotted crochet. 3 and 4. 1, 2, 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 3 and 4. 2 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3 and 4. The 3 is silent. You don't play anything. That's because the dotted note you've already played, plays over it. Okay? We're going to provide some practice material with dotted crotchets all over the place. So it's not just going to last, they're not just going to start on beat 2, they're going to start on other beats. What I'm going to show you is how you might have a tied note now. Okay? So we're moving on from dotted crotchets. Dum, dum, dum. And this time we're going to show you what it looks like to have a tied note. Okay, now I'm picking on this quaver here because it's here, and this whole time it didn't have its line. So in theory, because it didn't have its line, that was just as good as having a note here right below the line, because it didn't have a line. So really we should have been playing the second note there, so I was reading that wrong. The note, anyway, the rhythm was fine. Anyway, now they're all going to be the ding. 1, 1, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, Now what I'm going to show you might come across as confusing. You know what? Just like we had before. It's tied to this crotchet. This little slur, it's not a slur, actually a slur is something else. This little line, expression, is actually a tie. It basically means the note length is joined with the next one. So even though there's two separate notes here, and before we were playing 1, 2, 3 and 4, we're not actually going to play beat 4 anymore because it's tied to this this quaver, this half beat. So we only play the half beat and we just wait the duration until that's done. So this rhythm is going to go something like dum, dum, dum. Okay, so you count 1, 2, 3 and 4. I mean, yeah, you count 4, but you don't play anything after the and. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and. So technically there's only 1, 2, 3 notes here, and they're coming in on separate beats, of course. 1, 2, and on the 3 and. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and. Okay, don't play anything after the 3 and don't play anything on 3. You're only playing on 1, 2 and 3 and. Okay, but don't just learn this. Learn the you have to learn from the practice material. You have to learn them individually. It's quite difficult to get your head around the first time. So the best thing you can do is try at the very top of the practice material. It's going to be really simple. There's just going to be simple rhythms like 1, 2 and 1, 2 and 3, 4, 1, 2 and, something like that. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, something like this. 1, 2 and 1, 2, 3 and. Okay, so at least we covered the very basics of what a dotted crotchet is, what a tied rhythm is, and that's really as complex as it gets. I mean, you can get different variations of rhythms which are tied, such as semiquavers can be tied, quarter beats, triplets can be tied. It can get a little more complicated, but most of the handpan playing which we do, which a lot of the artists do, isn't really that ambitious, and when it is, it's a little more experimental, if anything. So there you have it. That is the end of lesson 13 and most of our rhythmic classes. Stay tuned to what we release in the next lesson. Whatever it is, it's going to be interesting because I've not come up with it yet. So check out the practice material and we'll see you in the next one.